Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a maintenance manager, and we turned to the topic of KPIs. He was reviewing his current state with me. KPIs, key performance indicators, metrics, if you will. And he was describing his plant based on the KPIs. You know, there's a trap, okay? Most people use their experience, discussion with others, and KPIs to define their current state, then they take action. Okay, let's talk about KPIs. I'm gonna talk about one in particular, give you an example of how misleading they can be, okay? Mean time between failure. Got to put on my glasses so I can read my notes here. Mean time between failure. You know, it's the average life of a particular asset. Let's say we're talking about a motor pump combination, and the average mean time between failure is 6 years, okay? So you've got 20 of these pumps, they last 6 years. So you build all your systems and inspections and everything based on 6 years, your budget, your storeroom, all that based on 6 years. So just hypothetically, say the last 3 years, or the last three failures were after 2 years, 10 years, and 6 years, okay? 2, 10, 6. If you total those up, divided by 3, you get 6 years. So if you had 3 failures this month, you calculate your mean time between failure, you see 6 years, okay? All is good, all is normal. Mean time between failure, 6. But you had a 2, why did it only last 2 years? And you had a 10, why did it last 10? And then you had one that happened to be the average. Waste is being hidden in that metric. There is opportunity maybe to learn from the 10 and to learn from the 2 at a minimum, okay? Now the next pump fails at 8. What do? You know, is that an outlier? Well, not based on the past, not based on the distribution that you have. You have these pumps failing between 2 years and 10 years and probably even wider than that, but the average happens to be 6. It's a meaningless number. You're hiding waste. Okay, the KPI does not highlight actions to take, okay? And it really doesn't tell you if you have a problem or not. Remember, this month you had 3 failures, 2, 10, and 6. No action to be taken. Perfectly in line with what you expected of a mean time between failure of 6. I don't like KPIs. They point you in a direction, but they're a little more than that, okay? You need to know the individual data to determine actions. The assumptions inside of a KPI are what really kill it, okay? I got 5 assumptions on this motor pump assembly, and there's many more, okay? These are just a quick 5 I came up with. You assume the PMs that were completed fully and with precision. Did you put the right grease in at the right frequency, okay? You know, did you do those things? I don't know. Did you have to adjust any packing, anything like that? Okay, so that's assumption number 1, and that's a bad assumption, okay? That's a bad assumption. Number 2, it was operated in compliance with the standards, the speeds. You know, did it ever run dry for a couple hours? You know, you just ran it, didn't have any material, it was pumping, but it was still on, wasn't cooling itself, and you burned up the clearances and seals. Number 3 assumption, it was installed originally with precision. It was aligned and lubed on time. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people start up these systems. They align everything to do everything right, balance, do all the good stuff, start it up, run it for about 30 minutes and say, oh my gosh, I forgot to put the lube in. They put the lube in, everybody walks away. Nobody records that they didn't put the lube in because that's an embarrassing act. And then that thing fails after, 6 months. Wonder why that happened, okay? Assumption number 4, it was manufactured correctly and with precision, both the motor and the pump and the shaft, all the bearings. It was rebuilt with precision, put the right seals in it, made it to the right tolerances. That's a big assumption. And number 5 assumption, it was stored properly. Say you have your own storeroom on your site and you have this motor pump assembly stored there. Was it stored in the right climate? Was there maintenance that was supposed to be doing on it, rotating the shaft? Was it in a high vibration area, created some flat spots on the bearing, high temperature area? Did it get rained on? All these kinds of things are assumptions. The waste exists, from my experience, in these assumptions, okay? And I have not met a place that was doing an inspection, an observation, and an audit of all 5 of these assumptions. I've not met the place that is doing that. I've seen places do 2, 3, 4. At plants I worked at, we ended up getting all 5, but I didn't walk in with it that way. You know, when was the last time that you put in place rigid auditing system of these 5 assumptions? That the PMs were completed fully and with precision. You didn't just do half the PM because production wanted the equipment back. You know, it was operated in compliance. When was the last time you went out there and observed this for 2, 3, 4 hours in operation and said, hey, yes, it is, that I do an audit once a week and ensure these pumps are going? It was installed with precision. Did you observe that? Was it rebuilt? Have you gone back to the manufacturer and seen how their practices are to build these things, to rebuild these things, and audited their materials and their performance? Or in that, have you audited the storeroom? So, folks, these assumptions are horrible, and they're the root cause of a significant amount of waste inside of your plant, from my experience. KPIs are just the beginning. KPIs, in opinion, are great. They start you down a path, but when you become a waste-focused organization, which is a reliability organization, a reliability culture, remember, every tool in reliability targets waste. Everyone. I'd love for you to challenge me on that, okay? But everyone targets waste, and you're assuming a significant amount of information inside of a KPI. It doesn't highlight actions. Folks, KPIs, I'm not saying they're evil, but they're not the end-all be-all, okay? Don't just rely on opinion and KPIs to run your capital-intensive organization. You're missing all kinds of waste, all kinds of opportunity inside of the individual data of where problems lie. They don't lie in averages. Averages hide waste. This is Joe out.